Hello students, today we are going to start a next topic, that is methods of conservation. There are various different types of methods are involved for the conservation of biodiversity. As you can see in the chart given in your book about the conservation of biodiversity, that's in situ conservation, ex situ conservation. In situ conservation is protected area and it comes under three types of things: national parks, forest reserve, wildlife sanctuary. Similarly, ex situ conservation divides into two parts: zoological parks and botanical gardens. Okay, so what is ex situ conservation? Ex situ conservation means conservation of endangered species away from their natural habitats. You know, in this mostly it is important for the conservation of crop varieties and wild genetic resources. Okay, and what is in situ conservation? In situ conservation involves the conservation of plants and animals in their native resources or man-made ecosystem where they naturally occurs. You know, it comprises of the system of protected areas of different categories, that is national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, forest reserves, you know, natural monuments, etc. Okay, so these are in situ conservation. Now, what is protected area? Protected area primarily comprises of national park and sanctuaries, that is wildlife sanctuaries, and these are meant to afford protection to wildlife animals along with their habitat also, that is the greenery, biodiversity full. They comprises of forest reserves, bioreserves also. You know, about 3.3% of the total geographical area of the country is designated as a protected area. 3.3%. Okay. Now, next we will be discussing about the national park. The national park and nature reserve is the area chosen by government or the private organization for the special protection against damage or degradation of the biodiversity and landscape conservation. What is landscape? अच्छा, एक एरिया है जहाँ पे एक माउंटेन है, वहाँ एक रिवर है, वहाँ वेरियस ट्रीज हैं, वहाँ एक एनिमल्स हैं. So all this is a landscape. You draw a landscapes in your drawings, in your art books, in your art sessions. So this is a landscape conservation of our biodiversity. Such parks are owned and managed by a national or a state governments. You know, designated trails or roads are created and a limited amount of visitors are permitted to go there. Okay, and they very limited amount of visitors are permitted to enter a very fragile area, and you know, people can enter there only for study, for cultural purpose or for recreational purposes. Forestry operations, grazing and hunting of animals are banned. Exploitation of the habitat and wildlife is also banned. You know, in India, various type of national parks has been situated and different type of animals are protected there. For that, they can be conserved. As you can see, a table is given in your book about the national parks in India. There are 7 types of national parks are given along with their city and state and the animal conserve. Suppose first is Ranthambore, Savai Madhopur. It is in Savai Madhopur, Rajasthan, and it is used for the conserve animals like leopard, tiger, hyena, nilgai, green pigeon and macaw. Next is Corbett. It is in Nainital, Uttarakhand. It is used for the protection of tiger, panther, elephant, deer, python, antelope. Okay. Next is Gir. It is in Junagadh in Gujarat. It is used for the conservation of Asiatic animal panther, hyena and chinkara. Okay. Next is Kaziranga, and it is in Jorhat, Assam, and it is used for the protection of rhinos, wild buffaloes, elephants and tigers. Okay. There is Bandipur, and it is in Mysore, Karnataka, and it is used for the protection of elephants, tiger, jackal, and gaur. Next is Simlipal, it is in Mayurbhanj, Odisha, and is used for the protection or conservation of tiger, leopard, sambar, bison, elephant, chital, and wild bear. Next is Kanha, and this is in Mandla, Madhya Pradesh, and is used for the protection of animals like tiger, chital, sambar, salt bear, and Barasingha. Okay, now you know the world's largest national park is Tumukumaka National Park, which is situated in Amapa, Brazil. Okay, it was created in year 2002, and it covers about 38,850 square kilometer, that is 15,000 square miles, and it is largely uninhabited rain forest. The Salonga National Park, which is in Bandbandhu and Kasai regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congress, it is the second largest national park. इसका एरिया बचा है 13,900 square miles. And there is another national park that is called Yellowstone National Park, and it is covering a part of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, and it is in USA. Okay, and it is regarded as the first national park in the world. Okay, so first national park is Yellowstone. So next we will be discussing about the wildlife sanctuaries. Now wildlife sanctuaries similar to your national parks, but they have aim to protection or the conservation of a certain species. Okay, it has the following features. Its boundaries are not limited by state legislation. The killing and hunting and capturing of any species is prohibited except or under the order of the highest authority who is governing or who is managing that sanctuary. Third, private ownership is allowed. Okay, you can own a piece of wildlife sanctuary. Okay, forestry and other usage are permitted, but to an extent. They do not, that is, आप forestry operations कर सकते हैं, but वो environment को या wildlife को affect नहीं करने चाहिए, बहुत ज़्यादा. Okay, so there is a table also given in your book of wildlife sanctuaries in India. All the 7, that is Sariska, Jaldapur, Dachigam, Mudugamai, Manas, Debrigar, Pariyar, these are given, and the animal and along with the city and state. Please go through with this table as shown in your books. Now there is an activity given. Ask your parents to take you at any national park or a wildlife sanctuary and ask the officers who is managing there certain questions. That is, what is the total area covered under their protection? What is the area they covered? What are the different types of animals are there? Well, how number of each protected animals, that how many tigers are there, how many elephants are there which are protected, and various protective measures that they take for the protection or the conservation of these animals. Next is zoological parks. Bacha, what is zoological parks, or we call it zoos? Animals are kept for education and conservation purposes there. Now this modern zoos have this veterinary facilities provided with them so that they can be breed there in the captivity, and the certain threatened species can grow and multiply, and after that they are grown or they are breeded, they are live in their natural environment. Okay, native habitat. Okay, this is zoological parks. That is botanical gardens. In botanical gardens, plants which are like on the verge of extinctions are growing, and it is also primarily used to display for scientific and educational purposes. You can visit these plants and animals which are grown outdoors under glass or greenhouse or conservatories also. Next is forest reserves. Forest comprises the second largest land use in India after agriculture. Forest में सबसे ज़्यादा like agriculture सबसे ज़्यादा amount of land occupy करता है हमारे इंडिया में. After that it comes number of forest. Forest has maximum number of land. Forest plays a vital role in Havre, more than 45,000 floral and 81,000 faunal species are endemic. Endemic means they are dangerous or they are on the verge of extinction. Okay, these forest reserves can be made and they are very, very important. So steps that can be taken to conserve the forest reserves: extensive afforestation or reforestation should take place. Alternative environmental friendly resources of fuel energy, that is wood and these type of products should not be used. You should use biogas or other environmental friendly energy resources should be used. Overgrazing by cattle should be reduced. Hunting and poaching should be banned. So, and the major problems like forest fires, immediate steps should be taken to control that forest fire. After that, the seeds can be stored and dried and deep freezed and stored for many centuries. Okay, and these are mostly done for crop plants की जो seeds होते हैं हम उन्हें mostly seed banks में store करके इस तरह से रखते हैं कि many centuries के बाद भी उन्हें use कर सकें. You know, the Botanical Survey of India, that is BSI, publishes a green book in which there is a list of rare, endangered, endemic plant species which are growing in the botanical garden of our country. So the next topic that we are going to discuss with you is Project Tiger. As I have discussed with you कि जो Bengal tiger थे बच्चा, Royal Bengal tiger were on the verge of extinction due to various reasons. This Royal Bengal tiger was on the verge of extinction. So to protect them, a project was initiated in the year April 1, 1973, and it was started by this Indira Gandhi, okay, by our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and it was launched in the Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, okay. And the main objective of this Project Tiger was the protection or saving the Royal Bengal tiger from extinction. And now because of this Project Tiger has been very much successful, and you know the population of tiger has been increased. You know the number has increased from 1200 to around 5,000. When Project Tiger was started, the number of tiger was only 1200. Now it is around 5,000. You know, earlier only one national park was associated with it, that is Jim Corbett Park. Now around 50 wildlife sanctuaries and national parks are associated with this project. Okay, the next topic that we are going to discuss is Red Data Book. This Red Data Book is published or is maintained by IUCN. Red Data Book. Okay, this Red Data Book is maintained by this IUCN, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. It maintains an international list of all the species of the plants and animals, and this book is called the Red Data Book. Now it is considered as the best authority about the status of living things on our planet. Now it has a group of organizations, scientific experts are there that work for the protection of the sustainable living resources. Sustainable means that we are also happy and the wildlife or the biodiversity is also happy. We get our things, they get the protection from us. So this is sustainable thing, okay. So many experts, scientific experts are working along with this organization. Now, Red Data Book is a state document published for documenting rare and endangered plants and animal species, okay, that exist within the territory of the state or country. It provides a central information for studies and monitoring the programs on rare and endangered species, their habitats and their habits. The IUCN has developed category to describe threatened species as critically endangered, vulnerable. What is critically endangered means? That means they are just on the verge of extinction. What is endangered? They are not on the verge of extinction, but they may be extinct. What is vulnerable? That may come under the category of endangered. So extinct group consists the species which is no more present on our earth. And so IUCN, for extinct species, they mark a symbol called EX. For endangered, they mark EN there. So along with the name of the species, EN is written. But it is not critically endangered, but faces a very real threat of extinction in the wild. Okay. So what are the advantages of Red Data Book? This Red Data Book used to evaluate the taxa, that is what is the biodiversity of the at the global level. It helps in identifying all the animals and other species about their status of extinction and endangered. And you know, the Red Data Book has complete information about all the endangered animals, plants and other species also. You know, it also helps to evaluate total number or total species of any particular animal present. With the help of this, you can find the risk of taxa becoming globally extinct or not. Suppose today's I have discussed about tiger and the number of tiger comes 500. In the next year when I have taken the survey and it comes only suppose 100. So that means this tiger is now becoming an extinct or it is a critically endangered species. So हमें कुछ steps लेने चाहिए जिससे कि हम इन्हें protect कर सके. Now, what is the disadvantages of this Red Data Book? बच्चा इसका ऐसा कुछ major disadvantage नहीं है, बस इसका यही है कि हम humans इतने capable नहीं हैं कि हम पूरा plants and animals का एक particular data ला सके, जिससे हमें पता हो कि हमारी पूरी अर्थ पे कितनी टाइप्स ऑफ स्पीशीज ऑफ प्लांट्स दैट इज फ्लोरा एंड फौना है. सो ये एक इनकम्प्लीट टाइप्स ऑफ डेटा बुक है. ठीक है. सो कंप्लीट रिकॉर्ड नहीं मेंटेन कर पाते हम प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स का. और सेकेंड, ये कोई भी ये लिस्ट आपको माइक्रोब्स दैट इज माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म के बारे में कुछ भी डेटा नहीं देती है. ओके. और ये क्राइटेरिया जो है ये हमारे पास सिर्फ जो आपकी टेरिटरी है एक स्टेट की उसी पे एप्लीकेबल होता है. नेक्स्ट वी विल बी स्टडिंग अबाउट सम एंडेमिक स्पीशीज. What we will be studying? We will be studying about some endemic species. Let me write down the name. Endemic species. Now, what are endemic species? You know, different regions of the world have their own flora and fauna depending on the environmental condition prevailing in that region. An endemic species is the one that found naturally in an area with notable restrictions on its overall distribution. There are certain types of animals or species which are found in a particular area. No, आपके घर के आसपास हर किसी के पास तो एलिफेंट्स नहीं मिल सकते, टाइगर्स नहीं मिल सकते ना. सो एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया ही होता है जहाँ पे वो एक पर्टिकुलर टाइप ऑफ स्पीशीज ग्रो करते हैं या लिव करते हैं. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अबाउट दिस. द हवाई आइलैंड्स. सो दिस इज इन हवाईयन आइलैंड्स. दिस इज नियर बाय द नॉर्थ अमेरिका. are known for its high percentage of endemic plants and animals. This means that these plants and animals only found in Hawaiian Islands and are not found anywhere else in the world. Okay, if you want to see these animals, you have to go only to visit the Hawaii Island there only. So this flora and fauna of different parts of the world do not show any uniform Pattern of distributions. So the species which are restrictedly distributed and are found in only restricted areas only, they are called endemic species. And the phenomena is called endemism. What it is called? It is called endemism. Okay? So endemic species क्या होती है? जो एक particular area में ही मिले और इस process को हम कहते हैं endemism. Okay. Before telling you about some this endemic species, let me tell you. Let's first discuss the endemic species of India. The first endemic species of India is Nilgiri ibex. What it is? Nilgiri ibex. Okay. This it's a goat. It's a type of stocky goat and possesses short coarse fur and a bristly mane. Is endemic to Nilgiri hills and the southern positions of the western Ghats. ये कहाँ मिलता है बच्चा? ये नीलगिरी हिल्स है आपकी जो तमिलनाडु में, और जो वेस्टर्न घाट से सदर्न तमिलनाडु और केरला के वहीं पे ये मिलते हैं. And it is actually called Nilgiri Tahar and Nilgiri ibex is its local name. Okay, इसका real जो name है वो तहार है, but Nilgiri ibex is its local name. Next is endemic species of India is Asiatic lion. Okay, now this Asiatic lion is endemic to Giri National Park. So it is only as it is believed that the last remnant of this species are found in Giri National Park in Gujarat only. Only in Gujarat that is found. It is believed that. Okay. Next is the endemic species of India is lion-tailed macaw. This is an endemic species to southwest India and it is one of the most threatened primates. You know why it is named as long-tailed macaw? Because it's a monkey. इसकी जो टेल होती है बच्चों 25 सेंटीमीटर तक बड़ी होती है. उसकी टेल के एंड में एक टफ्ट होता है जो ब्लैक कलर का होता है. सो दैट्स व्हाई हाउ इट्स नेम अराइव्स, दैट इज लॉन्ग टेल्ड macaw. Okay, I will be discussing some fact sites about this three types of animals: Asian elephant, African elephant, Raphela, it's a plant, and about ibex, Iberian lynx. Asian elephant. The scientific name of Asian elephant is Elephas maximus. Okay. Now this Asian elephant is classified as a member of the order Proboscidea, that is elephant. It is the genetic name or family of elephant, and it is the family. It is a member of the family Elephantidae. You know this Asian elephant is considered as an endangered species. Now it has 4 subspecies: the Indian, the Ceylon, the Sumatran, the Malaysian elephants. Okay, so it has 4 subspecies. Next is African elephant. Now this African elephant is also comes from the family of Elephantia and is classified as an endangered species due to the reduction of at least 50% of their population over the last 3 generations. Okay. Now, in several countries, the poaching of this animal is done for its ivory, that is their teeth. इनके teeth के लिए इनको hunt किया जाता है और इनके teeth को निकाला जाता है for selling purposes, because इनके जो teeth होते हैं ivory के बने होते हैं, and ivory is very much used for making ornaments and other types of jewelry. Okay. Now Rafflesia. Rafflesia is a, it's a plant which lives as a parasite on the roots of vines, okay, of the common grape. Interestingly, the overpowering odor from this plant can be often mistaken as of the rotting meat. जो आपका जो मीट होता है वो जब सड़ जाता है, इसकी जो ऑर्डर होती है, लाइक स्मेल होती है, वो उस तरह की होती है बच्चा. So this helps to attract carrion flies which pollinate them, and in the language of the local Filipinos, This plant is known as the corpse flower. What is corpse? Corpse means dead flowers. Okay. Now, two species of this plant is endemic. What is endemic? Which are restricted to a particular area, and it is restricted to Philippines. Okay. Another is Iberian lynx. Now, this Iberian lynx is one of the two European species which are critically endangered. That is, they are on the verge of extinction. So, we should protect them also. So, next we will be discussing about non-uniform distribution of a species. As I have told you about this endemic species, कुछ species कुछ area में ही मिलती है, कुछ other area में मिलती हैं. तो क्यों ये species का unequal distribution है हमारी earth पे? हम इसके कुछ factors पढ़ेंगे. Okay? So let me write down the heading first. Non-uniform distribution of species. Okay. So the first reason is physical factors. Suppose कुछ एरिया में माउंटेन्स हैं, कुछ वाटर बॉडीज हैं, कुछ लैंड मासेस हैं, कुछ प्लेन्स हैं. सो हर एनिमल हर तरह तो नहीं रह सकता ना. अब आप ये प्रे करो कि पांडा है ना वाटर में रह ले, ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता ना, वो माउंटेन्स में ही रहेंगे. सो different species require different types of physical traits where they can grow. For example, the Great Himalayan Range, जो हमारी हिमालय रेंज है, have various endemic species of both plants and animals. Another is climatic regions. आप ये तो नहीं चाह सकते ना कि पोलर बियर डेजर्ट में रह ले, सारा डेजर्ट में. वो पोलर बियर्स हैं, वो डेजर्ट में ही अंटार्कटिका में ही रहेंगे, because they need colder climate to survive. Okay, so that's why climatic factors also influence on the distribution, on the non-uniform distribution of a species. Next is biological factors. What is biological factors? Means like lions are there, they eat deers and all this. So they require different types of categories where they can live or where the food selection is there. Okay. अब lion आपको अब ये तो नहीं चाह सकते ना कि वो सिर्फ ग्रास खाए. It will require some animals so से वो hunt कर सके. So वो वहीं रहेंगे जहाँ पे उन्हें selective type of उनका food type या उनका vegetation जिस तरह का वो require करते हैं वो मिल सके. So this is about the non-uniform distribution of species. Okay. Next we will be studying about migration. Migration क्या होता है बच्चा? Where movement. Migration is a seasonal or a periodic movement of animals in response to a change in their climate or food availability to ensure reproduction. Okay, it involves movement of birds, animals over large distance made in responses. Okay, so there are many types of migrations can be there. First can be removal migration. Now what is removal migration? Particular area, जिस area में मान लीजिए due to some unfavorable climate की वजह से वहाँ food availability नहीं है, तो एक particular type of species क्या कर सकती है, पूरी की पूरी move on कर सकती है to another area जहाँ पे favorable conditions उन्हें avail हो. So this is removal migration. Next is eruption. अच्छा क्या होता है, कभी कभी पॉपुलेशन किसी स्पीशीज की बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज हो गई, ठीक है, और दिस इज एन स्पेसिफिक माइग्रेशन cycle occurring in extreme climates only. Okay, in extreme climates only. This is an example. It's of lemmings, you know, of Arctic tundra. What happened when this animal reach a peak? That is, they grow many in numbers. What they decide? They decide to move from one region to another region. Many are not able to survive this movement, and a minimum number or a small amount of number reaches that point and start their population once again. So this is a migrating cycle. Again, when they reach a peak, again they move, So that's how this eruption goes on. Next is remigration. Okay, what is remigration? It is a tip. It's a round trip. Okay, some species grow here, move here. They produce their offsprings there, that is they breed there. Then this offsprings, ये species यहीं रह जाएगी एक generation, और जो दूसरी generation होगी वो वापस एक round trip लेती है. So this is remigration. एक जनरेशन जाती है, ब्रीड करती है, ऑफस्प्रिंग प्रोड्यूस करती है, वो ऑफस्प्रिंग्स आते हैं और यहाँ पे रहते हैं. फिर वो ऑफस्प्रिंग क्या करेंगे, वो यहाँ पे माइग्रेट होके आएंगे, यहाँ पे ब्रीड करेंगे, यहाँ ऑफस्प्रिंग्स आएंगे और वो ऑफस्प्रिंग्स यहाँ मूव करते हैं. सो दिस इज अ राउंड ट्रिप. नेक्स्ट टाइप ऑफ माइग्रेशन इज सीजनल माइग्रेशन. व्हाट इट इज? इट इज सीजनल माइग्रेशन. इट इज ऑल्सो a round trip, but it is depending on the climatic condition. You know, it involves migration from one area to another area and then back again in a particular season. Okay, this Siberian crane and this sea lion is a good example of seasonal migration. What happens during winter? Suppose Siberian cranes are living here, and during winter they are not able to survive there. Therefore, they move to a tropical region or where there is summer is going on. They stay there for summer and again move here. So this is seasonal migration. Okay, now I'm giving you one interesting task. I'm telling you to watch televisions. जितना टीवी देखना है उतना टीवी देखो, but only Discovery Channel and National Geographic Channel. That is National Geographic Channel. We will be seeing this chapter and finding about different types of biodiversity, about this wildlife and their conservation. Next is we are studying about recycling of paper. You know बच्चा, papers जो होता है वो बनता है किससे? Wood pulp से बनता है. So we should always try to recycle this paper. So the 50% of the garbage in the landfills can be recycled. Okay. So recycled paper is taken to the recycling plant where it is separated, and then the separated paper is cleaned and washed with soap to break it down. After breaking down, it is exposed to heat, and after some time it's break down into cellulose. We can then recycle this paper again to make fresh papers. We can use old newspapers, notebooks, envelopes. So, okay. Now, you know, the paper which is contaminated with food, carbon paper, stickers, this cannot be recycled. Okay, so you should always keep your papers which are not have this type of thing, that is, they do not have any food, they do not have any carbon paper or stickers. You should put them in another box, and you should use this paper, that old newspapers and notebooks, in another form, that so that they can be recycled. And how the process of recycle is done? हम recycle paper लेते हैं, oh sorry, old paper लेते हैं, उस old paper को हम क्या करते हैं? सेपरेट करते हैं और उसे क्लीन करते हैं और उसे वॉश करते हैं सोप से. फिर उसे हीट के साथ एक्सपोज करते हैं, दैट इज उसे ड्राई करते हैं जिससे कि वो सेलुलोज में कन्वर्ट हो जाए और उससे फिर वापस से हम नया पेपर बना सकें. नेक्स्ट इज द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ रीफॉरेस्टेशन. व्हाट इज द प्रैक्टिस? द प्रैक्टिस इज ऑफ रीफॉरेस्टेशन. Reforestation is the process of regenerating or replanting the forest area that have been destroyed or damaged by the benefits of mankind. Okay. Okay. So afforestation also means deforestation. Oh, sorry, replantation, reforestation, afforestation. All means one thing. Okay, what are the advantages? There are no disadvantages of afforestation. Afforestation should be encouraged. So we will be discussing what are the advantages of reforestation. First, it will be preventing soil erosion. बच्चा जो soil erosion होता है, जो आपकी जो soil है वो erode होती है और water जो contaminate होता है वो prevent होगा, because जो roots होंगी वो soil को hold करके रखती है, and it will increase the water capacity of the soil, and the soil will become more fertile. Okay, next, it maintain oxygen carbon dioxide balance in the earth. अगर आपके पास ज़्यादा ट्रीज होंगे तो वो ऑक्सीजन गिव आउट करेगा और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड यूज करेंगे, सो द ऑक्सीजन एंड द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बैलेंस विल बी मेंटेन इन आवर एटमॉस्फेयर. नेक्स्ट इज इट मेंटेन वाटर साइकिल. जो बच्चा प्लांट्स की जो ट्रीज की जो रूट्स होती हैं वो वाटर को सॉइल को होल्ड करके रखेगी, जिससे कि आपका जो वाटर लेवल है वो क्या रहेगा, इंक्रीज हो जाता है. So this is all about this chapter, conservation of plants and animals. Now we will be discussing all the exercise related to this chapter.